Okay, welcome everyone. Can you hear us well? If you can post in the chat on your right-hand side, fantastic. Hello, Tom. Good to hear that you can hear us. Let's start the webinar. Okay, let me share the presentation with you guys. Okay, so hello, my name is Karolina and I'll be your host today. Welcome to the third and final session of our online series called Crash Course, How to Manage Risks, Web Products and Software Teams in Recession. And today we'll be talking about managing distributed software development teams. We've gathered here leaders whose professional lives are focused on building and managing distributed teams. In the next 60 minutes, they will pass you on knowledge gained through practice and experience to help you lead your teams and dynamically steer through crisis. Following the session, you will receive the recording from this webinar. However, we would also like to share with you an exclusive landing page created especially for you with all resources from the Crash Course series. The landing page features all video materials from 3 sessions, summary articles, additional handouts, and special offers. We hope that this resource will be helpful for you as a reference material from this course. Just a few words of introduction. The webinar is hosted by Boldare. We are a digital product design and development company with over 15 years of experience. We have over 140 employees and we delivered 250 web and mobile applications for over 100 clients. And we hope to bring you today practical advice supported by real-life cases and actionable methodologies and frameworks. You can find out more information about us on our website, boldare.com. You can also comment live on the webinar via Twitter, mentioning Twitter handle @boldare.com. And now let me introduce you to today's speakers. We welcome Piotr, Majchrzak, co-CEO at Boldare, Patrycja, Agile Transformation Guide here at Boldare, Weronika, Otrębska, Head of People at Boldare, and our special guest, Issam Najm, CTO of Ionview at Matic, a company based in Dubai but operating across the entire Middle East. They will be sharing with you some key insights on managing distributed software development teams. If at any point you have any questions to our speakers, please do not hesitate to post them in the questions tab on the right-hand side. By the end of the webinar, we'll have a live Q&A session with the speakers, so you can also vote for the most popular questions, and they will have the majority. The majority votes will have priority during the Q&A session. At the end of the webinar, we'll be also asking you to fill a short questionnaire with feedback. It will be featured in the poll section on the right-hand side. This way, we'll be able to improve the next webinar sessions and give you even more value. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Karolina. Yes, let me share the presentation with you. Okay. So I would like to welcome you all, guys. Thank you very much for being with us. And I'm thrilled that we can share our experiences that we gathered through a decade. And I hope that this crash course will help you and help us also to maneuver through a bumpy road that is in front of us. So we all know where we are in this crisis situation. And I think in one sentence we could describe it is that the world is spinning. And how McKinsey in their digital strategy in a time of crisis nailed it really nicely is that the crisis demands quick and bold decisions, and the luxury of time now seems to have disappeared completely. And what we used to and what things took years before, now it needs to be done in a week. So We all feel that this is a serious threat to every company, and that if company will not adapt to the new normal, it will be a problem. So what we need to apply new methods and learn on the fly, because we simply have no data and time for rolling out details, plans, and execute it well. And the good is that the subject of management in uncertainty has been already researched before, so we have underlying theory we can use. Mr. Ralph Stacey, a British scientist, in the 90s already wrote 2 books about managing chaos, and he covered the subject of how to operate in a world in which is but also organizations that are in uncertain world. The most important thing which I found at his work is this complexity model that actually gives us a sign how to deal with problems. So problems are divided by on 4 that is simple, complicated, complex, and chaotic. And for example, riding a bike is a simple problem that we know how to do it, and we know also what we want to do by riding a bike. Complicated problem is something like planning your holidays to Latin America. So you actually know what you want to do, you know what kind of steps you want to have, and you can plan it up front. But then if you would like, for example, traveling by your electric car through Africa, this problem is much more complex, and you don't know where your how much energy you can have, or where you can have charging stations. So you cannot actually plan it up front, and you have to invent your plan along the way. And then there is a chaos like September 11 or also this COVID-19 crisis, which things are not really predictable. One of the important thing and learning from Mr. Stacey's work is that operating in complex or chaotic environment needs to have that people have to be involved, and the people is a crucial element in operating in such an environment. So the broader accountability and freedom to act for the people and teams are becoming a key solution to be agile, and agile is the method how we can quickly validate projects, pivot products or services. So employees are always best sensors of clients' needs, but interestingly enough, with right processes and distributing decision processes, they can and should also drive organization that will not only sense but respond quickly. So therefore, exploiting people's potential is one of key elements of operational practice in crisis. So there's a lot of knowledge how to manage companies and teams, but they were designed to solve simple or complicated problems, or they were designed for the companies that operate in simple and complicated environment. And most of them were invented 100 years ago during the Industrial Revolution. So, applying these methods when we are in complex or chaos environment won't be that efficient. So working the same way we used to do, or making decisions that the same way we used to do, is not enough anymore. if we really want to respond quickly to the market. So there is a need to change the approach. And in complex environments like today's crisis, when you can predict clear result and you cannot really plan your execution in details, the best approach from our perspective is Agile Approach. And we particularly use Scrum that divides a project into smaller pieces called iterations. And having that every 2 weeks, you can get a new version of a product, and you can every 2 weeks plan, design, develop, and test a new version of a new idea on the market. So this small improvements of the product will allow you to test things on real users, validate your assumptions quickly, and change the way how you work, because sometimes you have to change your operating practices as well. So the Agile approach should be adapted on the whole organization, but when it comes to how you use it on a daily basis, we need to move our focus to the team aspect, and the team is a foundation of Agile. And therefore, I would like to invite Patrycja to tell us a little bit more about the teams.
I have to unmute myself. I'm unmuted.
That's always most important.
Yeah, so sorry guys, but I had some problems with my computer and I had to switch to Karolina's computer. Thank you very much, Karolina. Thank you, Piotr, for the introduction. Let's focus on what is the team. What we understand when we say team in agile environment. First, the team is small, up to 9 people, to maximize power of different point of views, but minimize the time for synchronization. That's why team cannot be too big. Team is cross-functional. They have everything and everyone necessary to achieve the goal, to make sure they are not dependent on any outside of the team people. And team is self-organizing. It means that the team is managed internally, not by external team leader or project manager or someone else, but they do everything they need inside the team. And team is goal-focused, so they have one specific thing to achieve that helps them keep focus and organize the work around it. Regarding Bruce Tuckman's theory, we have 4 basic stages of group development. The goal is to move team quickly from forming through storming to norming and performing. The initial process can last for days or for weeks. It depends on what tools you will use and what investment you will make. But in crisis time, when environment is changing every week and your idea may be invalid soon, even every week, it's more important to build a team quickly, so they are able to deliver value, to have quick feedback loops with your users, and adjust the products to the market needs. Our solution for team forming is 1 or 2 days investment in building the team. We call it day 0. Main goal of this day is to have development team and Scrum Master prepared to work on the new product and to reduce risk of not delivering expected value in the first few sprints. By putting the team in one room or conference call like right now, and giving them a list of questions they have to answer before workshop with client, we make a team from group of strangers. The whole day is focused on creating common understanding on the most important topics. We use interactive way of digging into them. In example, some exercises, working in smaller groups, liberating structures, etc., to fasten building the team. Main points of this day are: first, get to know the team. This is space where each person from the team have to introduce themselves, but also where we can pair people who want to learn something with person who is expert in this area and help support learning. Second is investigate the business problem. During the sales process, we gather some materials, and people involved in this process are also part of this moment in day zero, because they are sharing all experiences and all knowledge they gathered about the client, about the business problem, to make initial team that will be work on the product later, to be prepared, and also to adjust the workshop agenda. We are talking also about the roles and processes. In general, basic of our work is Scrum, but referring to outcomes of other project retrospectives, we can decide where we should put more focus on. In example, in short products, it's important to, for example, make smooth cooperation between developer and designer, or to start working with walking skeleton. In the bigger project, in example, we need to think how to synchronize architecture between teams, or how to work on the integrated done increment. So they are very specific things regarding the development phase of the specific product. All those things we put in one big canvas. It's called Team Canvas. This tool helps us see what team we are, what are our rules, what are our goals, what we are afraid of. And this is a tool that is with us for the whole team living. We can use it later to update agreement during retrospectives, or to onboard new team member quickly. So if the new team member comes to us, we can just share with them, okay, guy, this is our team canvas. You can hear, learn, see what we are, and you can ask questions, but the process of onboarding is very, very quick by using this tool. Second great point for team forming and storming are product discovery workshop. We involve the whole team and client to discover the product together. This helps us feel and understand the vision and needs to propose the best strategy how to achieve product goals. This is 2 days space for discussion, asking questions, and exchange opinions how to solve business problem. And we have result on few levels. First, team is involved in creating something great. They really connect to the product goal and to something they will work on later. Second, client knows the team can ask difficult questions. They are not afraid to challenge the status quo. They are proposing ideas. So there's connection between client and the team. And third thing, we have a good plan for how to deliver the value during next few weeks or few months. And we are prepared for what will come after the workshop. You may wonder if 2 days is not too big investment, but when we need to do job fast, we need to also think about the risks. In my opinion, 2 days is just enough, because by those 2 days, we make sure we have all necessary data, our processes are smooth since the beginning, and informations are spread around the team. So in case of unexpected sickness or something else, rest of the team has the same knowledge, and we are able to take over our job from each other. As we are working in Scrum, every sprint we have retrospective meeting. Main goal of this meeting is to inspect and adapt the processes of team cooperation. But from time to time, there is this little something, the need to trigger again the group process. It can happen when we see something is not working correctly, or when we see no progress in team development, we stuck somehow. Anyone from the team can notice this and can raise the need. But in general, we have one specific role that have focus on this area, and the role is Scrum Master. So when the moment comes, we can do specific topic retrospective. So we can use 1 or 1.5 hour time box, where we can go more deeply into specific topics. In example, we can use this slot to dig into our agility roots and see if we understand and practice Scrum values the same way in the whole team. This is one way. Second option is to, for example, do retrospective focused on the team. So what does it mean for us? What we are missing in the team? what we love, and what we want to spread around the organization. And we have few scenarios for this kind of retrospective, and we will share them with you later after the webinar. So to summarize, day zero is only our starting point to build the team fast. But after beginning, there is time for day-by-day work on the team development. It's even more important right now, to make sure that we check how things in the team are going, if we don't have any regress. So this process of the team development is facilitated mostly by the Scrum Master, but we support this process by our organizational culture and practices, like across the teams. And Weronika will tell you about the part how we support this in our organization.
Yes, that is very true. Thank you, Patrycja, for this introduction. As Patrycja mentioned, I will share with you some practices that we believe are crucial for building effective remote teams. But we may all know that we may have the best strategy in place, but culture eats strategy for a breakfast, as Peter Drucker said. So the practices that I would like to introduce are connected strictly with building this culture. The culture that supports teams in getting results fast, that supports teams in being more responsive to what occurs. As Peter said, that's the factors that makes us successful nowadays when the crisis came and in this COVID situation. So how to build this culture that supports responsiveness within the team. But before introducing this practice, first let me share with you some thinking behind why we think that these specific practices that I will share with you are very important right now during the crisis and during the remote working and remote teams. So the concept that I would like to introduce, and that is very important right now, is the concept of psychological safety. You may know the Google rework research, especially Aristotle project. It showed that psychological safety is the basis of every effective team. So based on the wide people analytics data, they found out that the most common aspect of effective teams was this psychological safety. What we understood even more lately when this COVID situation occurs is that the responsiveness to what occurs during the crisis is based directly on this safety. That in remote teams, we need to put even more attention and to take care even more on building the safety by building a culture that encourages it. What for? Yeah, the answer shows up a few times in here during this webinar. Because when people and teams feel psychologically safe, they learn on their mistakes quickly, and they make bolder decisions. So that's why it is important, especially important right now. At Boldare, there are a few aspects that we found that they're very important, and we encourage even more. And these aspects are a sense of meaning. So we feel that people are psychologically safe when they have a sense of meaning, when they have a sense that their work bring value, that everyday tasks, meetings brings effects and move team towards the goal. That's the one thing. People feel psychologically safe when they understand that their talents, their potential are well used in a team. The other thing is that they feel psychologically safe when have this sense of belonging, that when they understand that they are bigger part, they are part of something bigger that makes them even more safe. And the last thing that I would like to tell you about is the common understanding of what is happening within the team. So that there are no blind spots, no assumption on what other teammates think, feels, what is their approach to the problem. So you may one of our core way of working is transparency, but not only transparency about work that the team does and what each team member is performing right now, but also the transparency about feelings, approach to the problems, about points of view. So that is the 4 key points about this psychological safety. So now let's move to the practices, how to encourage, how to build this 4 aspects in your companies, and how we do it at Boldare. So first thing is this sense of meaning, and what we found out during our experience with remote teams, and now even more, is that good facilitation is a key to have this sense of meaning in our work. So a facilitator role at the meetings, of course, so a person who conducts the meeting, who introduces the agenda, who provide the direction to the team, that is the one thing. But there is another thing about facilitator role that I believe is even more important, and it is the role of facilitation of a facilitator as a person who builds a team's way of working. Patrycja mentioned Scrum Masters. This role in Scrum teams, in development teams, helps to build the team's way of working. But also in non-dev teams, we have a role of facilitator in holacracy. So this is a person not only who shows up at the meeting, hey, I'm facilitator, and now I will conduct the meeting. Yes, that's important, but even more important aspect of this role is to build this way of work. So how we solve the problem, how we keep our team's norms, so how we get the goals that we want. So I would like to encourage you in this point to really invest in the role of facilitator. So to choose a person in your team who will take the role of facilitator, who will build the understanding, who will reduce the complexity that right now is even more influencing even more the team's work, and the person who has the skills to do that for a team. That's extremely important when it comes to psychological safety. Another thing that I would like to introduce, I'm smiling because it is a very simple technique, but it brings a lot of value in teams' work, especially when it comes to psychological safety. It is a technique to provide a space for understanding each other's points of view, and the technique called rounds. You may have heard about this technique. You may use it. You can use rounds at the meetings. It is a technique to use at the meetings. It is you introduce it in many different. You can introduce it in many different points of a meeting to find this common understanding and this feeling that everyone has had a space to speak up. For example, you can use a check-in round. It is a round that we open the meeting with, and depending on the question that you put, each and every person in the room or in the call answer this question. It gives a sense that everyone is heard. You also build the understanding that what is everyone's approach to the topic. or what is today's mood of that person, which is especially important now during the remote work, because sometimes it may be that some person just feel awful that day physically, and if you won't have this round, if you won't have the space for saying it, other team members may have this assumption that, yeah, he's not engaged, he doesn't like the topic, or he thinks that he knows everything, that's why he is not saying anything. But maybe he just feels awful, and that changes the dynamics very much and builds psychological safety. Another way of using rounds is reaction rounds. So it invites all team members to contribute. So it also encourages accountability, that yes, my voice is important right now, my approach to the topic is important right now, and what I think about the problem. So reaction round, when you put the problem and ask everyone to say what he or she thinks about it, it's also the way to use rounds. And the last way of using round is checkout round, and this is the round that it is always like, oh my God, we are late, and the meeting should finish right now, and we don't have time for checkout round. But I believe that it is the most crucial one when it comes to the meetings. Why? Because it really provides the understanding what others take from the meeting. It is not like the meeting ends and I do some other stuff and I don't care about what happened there, but I understand if, for example, I should take some actions more after the meeting. It also facilitates learning. For example, when my colleague has completely takes from meeting completely different things than myself, maybe it means something. Maybe I can learn something from that person. So I really encourage you to use the rounds in different ways, and I believe that you will see the effects very quickly when it comes to psychological safety and when it comes to accountability, when it comes to transparency about the feelings and points of views. Okay, so let's move on to another point. So this Aristotle project that I told you about before from Google Rework team shows that people feel safe when they feel their talents are valued, when their talents are utilized in a good way within the team. So ensuring the space for learning for the team is another very important area of building psychological safety. And I don't mean in here learning as a training or as a reading a book. Of course, it is important aspect, but now during the crisis, we don't have time for it. We need to learn on the fly. We need to learn on the spot on what we have and what we experience. So one of the techniques that we use, one of the methods that we use is retrospective. And Patrycja told you about it a few minutes ago. So a moment, a meeting where team can sum up some part of their work and learn what went well, what actions needs to be taken to work even better in the future. But another tool I would like to introduce, and which we love at Boldare, and we also conducted now online, is feedback workshops. So these workshops is a half-day workshops when we invite team, excuse me, to share feedback about each other's work. So it's not workshops only about how to give feedback, but also a space where we connect and share a feedback within the team. To be honest, the teams, it opens the communication within our teams at Boldare to the extent that we didn't expect when we implemented this tool. We were like, yeah, we will share the feedback, it's gonna be fine, people will feel more safe. But how it affected the teamwork within the teams that experienced this workshop was extreme. So teams started to work with more clarity, with less tensions between each team members, because, you know, I told you about these false assumptions. I think that, for example, Patrycja thinks that I don't work well in that area. And then on the workshop, it occurs that Patrycja, for example, value my work in this area. And I'm like, oh my gosh, really? So it releases a lot of tensions within the team. We will share with you the agenda of these workshops after this webinar, and I encourage you to use it because it works beautifully within teams. And of course, it builds psychological safety. And what is very interesting now, when we implemented this tool, we were like, yes, you have to be all in one place to provide this feedback. And now we discovered that remotely, when people are remote, it works it gives the same effect. It gives it brings a lot of value to the team still when remote. Okay, I hope that you are still with me. I know I'm talking a lot. Sorry for that. I hope it's interesting for you. Let me know in the chat if it isn't interesting for you, because I have a last part about the social bonds. We build social bonds with retrospectives, with feedback workshops, but we have our favorite way to build the social bonds. And now when we are out of our office, we work remotely. There's no this space for building social bonds at the office. There's no water cooler talks and shared coffees and things like that. But what we need is to replace it somehow, or not replace, but build another quality, but by introducing Teams rituals. To be honest, we have many different rituals within the teams, and each team has completely different approach to these rituals, and it is very important when you will look for some ritual for your team. Choose the thing that is that suits your team best. To give you some example from Boldare, one team has a complaining time, so they have a special time at the end of the week when they meet for half an hour, and they just complain and complain and complain. So they are speaking about what bothers them at work, outside the work. The rule is that you don't have to be constructive. You don't have to be productive, just complain. And Karolina is smiling because I know that she is in the team that uses this ritual, and it's super nice. Another one is magical question. So once a week, one team gathers to answer some question from the list. And it is rarely connected with work, so it is more about some private aspects, but it is like what superpowers you would like to have, or what is the bravest thing you've ever done in your life. So things that helps team to get to know each other better. And we believe that these rituals are this kind of glue that keeps a team. So I really invite you to use it in your teams. And that's all from my side. So 4 things that I wanted to post on this webinar. Psychological safety is crucial right now in remote teams and in this crisis situation. How to build it? Ensure a good facilitator who will keep the work in a good direction. use techniques that ensure learning, that ensure everyone understands each other's point of view, and use rituals. They keep the team together. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Weronika. Issam, first of all, thank you very much for accepting invitation to this webinar. I would like to talk a little bit with you. How do you do all this remote practices and crisis approach at your company? But at first, if you would like to tell us a little, our audience, because we know each other for quite a few years. But if you can tell us, our audience, what Matic does and how is your operating structure looks like, where do you operate, and of course, what do you do at the?
Sure. First of all, thanks for having me, and hi everyone. Let me start talking about. We are a SaaS-enabled marketplace for home cleaning services. This is how we started as a business model. However, to introduce you to Matic by our customers' message, this is a WhatsApp message that was shared and went viral once we launched the service. They said, "Hey, try this Matic. It's Uber for home cleaning services," or Kareem because it's more known in the region here. We are a Kareem like for home cleaning services. We have a marketplace where you can book for your cleaning services, and we have a SaaS where we developed it, and we are giving it to the cleaning companies so they can manage their work, their daily tasks, and it will give us insights how we should distribute the work and to which company maybe they should handle the new job. We started 2016, I believe, the official announcements of the company when we started as a marketplace. Before that, we were also trying a couple of things, other things. I started with the company when it was just an idea. Now we shared a couple of numbers in the summer that we reached 150,000 cleaning per month. We are still operating in more than 15 cities in Saudi, UAE, Bahrain, Lebanon, Qatar, and yeah, it was a long journey. Currently, now we are heavily affected by Corona. So I think like all the topics that you were talking about and a couple of questions, I was checking the questions are very related to our situation currently. So I will be happy to share with you like how we are handling this. Although it's really hard time, to be honest with you. I will also talk a little bit about the team and how it's distributed because it's very related to the topic itself. We started Matic, we were like 3 developers. I remember it. We were just sitting in Dubai here in office. After we got our investment, we started looking to expand the team and have more people helping us to reach our goals. And I believe at this moment we reached out to you guys. In less than maybe 6 months, we were more than 25 between in-house and outsource. And we were a distributed team. So we have one team or 2 Scrum teams. A part of the teams, they are here in Dubai and part in Poland. Currently, we are 40 employees plus in-house for tech department only. And we are distributed in UAE, Lebanon, Beirut, and in Poland, Wrocław. So we have a couple of team members that they are working remotely before the COVID in India and in Jordan and in Saudi as well. So yeah, it is a very distributed team, and most of the techniques that you were talking about, we were dealing with it on a daily basis even before Corona.
Yeah, so you are heavily distributed. That I can say that maybe you, in sort of ways, you also prepared for a crisis, at least in software development, which you could control.
No one was prepared for this.
But could you tell us a little bit more? How do you communicate on a daily basis when in such a complex environment where there are at least 3-4 locations involved and a few time zones? Is there any key elements that you would like to share with us?
So for sure, like having the Scrum, it will like somehow help you a lot to organize the communications and how it would go. Basically, we depend heavily on Slack. Everything is around Slack. If I will talk about the tools, what we are using, and we have the daily meetings. We have like specific meetings that we are doing during the day. We always try to go with async communications ways, especially when it's like something on the fly, not something prepared before, not a meeting or not something that it was prepared before. So yeah, I shared with you earlier that we always try to go with async ways of communication, and we try always to have it on public channels. We always try to make it shared with everyone. It's not easy. Most of the people, they will try to talk on private channels, and this is clear when you get the report from Slack between the communications public versus private. But at the end, you have to maybe have this culture, like as you said, guys, to have this culture that you can learn. You are safe to learn with the team. You can ask whatever you want, and you will get the information. Don't be shy to ask even on public channels. It is harder nowadays, also that we were used to have it like this way. I would say also a lot of elements added to it, like the distribution of the situation. Everyone now is worried about Corona itself and the company, for us as well, the future of the company. So this is adding more complexity to the issue itself.
Okay, and Weronika vividly told us about rituals that we have at Boldare, and I'm curious what kind of rituals do you have, except the normal things?
So to be honest, like I tried a lot since we started to do this. We start with Boldare to have network games. We used to play CSGO with you guys and also we tried PUBG.
And I think you were winning. That's the thing. You were winning at that time, what I remember.
Not really. Piotr, the other guy, he was really good. Now we have more like a tech talk, which is a weekly talking about something not about the tech. It was yesterday when we talked about the VIP protocols and how it evolved. I'm not sure if any one of you knows about modem 56K. We talked a little bit about it, but yeah. Also, we have, and this is something very important. I believe, like we are not doing it at least as much as we want in coronavirus, and at this time, at this era, it's really important to have a direct communication with the management to know more about the situation of the company in general and what we are doing and what is the next step. So I think it's one of the questions as well, which is how to keep a communication open. For now, we are doing it in tech side. We are doing it in two ways. First, we are going to start with a weekly update. So we will have a meeting with a couple of departments to understand what is the latest news and share it in a general channel on Slack. And we have also a meeting for the whole company. Last time we were more than, I believe, 160 people in Zoom call, just taking questions from the team and trying to answer. Okay. So we are depending on those two, and hopefully we'll have more because this is crucial at this time. And yeah, I'm hearing a lot of voices around me that they want more.
Yeah, actually, we found out also that at Boldare, one of the good things to be in such a remote situation is that we can somehow talk with every 150 person, right, on during this kind of call. So we think it's also a good idea. But you mentioned that most of the communication, first of all, should be transparent, but also that should be asynchronous. So you know, you not get distracted while you do something. But there are certain things, there are certain moments where you actually have to do a meeting, right? And it's like planning and review sprints, right? How do you do that?
So planning, review, and retrospective. You mentioned a lot in your presentation, retrospective, and yeah, I believe it's one of the most important meetings in the Scrum. We do it. If you talk about like techniques, we are doing it through Zoom, and we have like fixed time for all of those meetings for the teams. We have a couple of changes for sure between every couple of months, but yeah, it's fixed, and it's like a I like it because it's more like a ceremony. It's very clear. When in the review meeting, we'll have not only the team, other people as well from other teams that they would like to see what's happening with this team. So it's really great way to share with the rest of the teams. We have 6 Scrum teams in Matic, so it's also a great way to share a team what they are working on. I believe like we are not facing a lot of problems in organizing these meetings. Those meetings are there for a long time now, and I believe most of those meetings, if not all of them, we're doing it remotely even before COVID. So we are not seeing any changes in those meetings. Although, and I believe this is what makes it happen, or what's make it easy. I just want to share this with you guys. In Lebanon and even in Dubai here, we have a couple of problems in the internet connections. In Lebanon, they have problem even in electricity. Sometimes the electricity will go off. So it's really hard circumstances to work in our countries. And even though you will see a couple of colleagues that they are, for example, buying online tools, VPN to be able to do those communication easily, even if they will pay it from their own pocket. So this dedication for the team that they want to achieve something together, this is what make it happen and make us like go through this hard time. So yeah, when you see those actions from your team, you know that you are with the right team and you are doing the right job, hopefully.
Okay, you mentioned the team and that you have 6 teams. So my favorite question: how do you build a team? Can you sell us the recipe?
There is no recipe for sure. Otherwise, maybe we will. I don't know, but yeah, there is no recipe for sure. It's really hard. It's the hardest thing, and maybe I'm not the best person to answer this question. I failed a couple of times in building teams. It's not easy at all. But yeah, I can share like a couple of my experience and what I think that it's a good circumstances, let's say, to build a team. If you are lucky enough if you are starting like a new time, you're not forming a team from your own company, and if you are lucky to have 1 or 2 senior team members to start building this team, I think this is the best way to form a team. I have a couple of experience where me or some like other colleagues, we started teams with them, and they were able to choose the team members to start the team. This is one aspect. The other aspect is giving them a great objective to achieve. This is also will make them more alive in doing. I can share with you like maybe the newest team that we have in Matic, which is the mobile team. It was a great success story for us. yeah, we had the tech lead. He started with us, and we had a great objective, which is we wanted to have a. We had like a couple of features that we want to release in an application, and we want to build a new application as well. And he was able to get a couple of other senior team members, and they were able to form a team, and they are one of the best teams. All of them, they are great, but yeah, they did a great achievements in the past year, and they got a Blue Guru prize that we give for the best quarter achiever. So I would say, like, if you are lucky to have the senior, and if you're lucky to have a great objective for this team, this is a great recipe to have a team, but nothing is guaranteed for sure.
Yeah, of course, and it's not easy way to go through, right? And once the team is built, sometimes it also kind of collapsing. So you have to take care every time about that. Okay, but as a manager, as a CTO, we were talking about distributed teams, self-organizing teams, and there is a lot of freedom within these teams. But how do you keep control that the work that has to be done is actually done? And maybe how do you keep the teams accountable? And again, if any recipe or a checklist that you can share with us would be great.
I would say that the most important thing is the team to be accountable to each other. This is the most important thing for any Scrum team to be able to be productive. If you are going to build a team to be productive only to you or to be accountable only to the leader, I don't see this is a right approach. I believe this is a way to make a team fail. Making the team accountable to each other's will push them to give more, will push them to try to achieve more. For sure, or not for sure, like unfortunately now, until now, in most of the companies, we have this command and chain hierarchy, which we got it from the army. And yeah, I see like it can be like maybe a backup solution that for accountability, but the main accountability should be from the team themselves. Currently, what we are doing in Matic, we have a great product team that they are setting a release goals. So you'll have a release goal, and we are asking the team to achieve this release in this time, in certain time. So the team, they are accountable between each others to achieve this goal, this release goal, by splitting it to sprints and working on it piece by piece on sprint manner. So this is how we are handling it, and yeah, like you will find a lot of problems down the road for sure. And always you have to make sure that the team, they know the goal. The most important thing is the team, they know their goal. The problems doesn't come usually from team members that they maybe in traditional management style, they think that the team, they don't want to work. I don't believe in this. I don't see this. What I see usually is the goal is not clear. There are obstacles. The team, they are not working along with each other and knowing what they need to achieve. When you have this kind of clearance with your team that this is your goal, this is what you need to achieve, and they are accountable and they do the commitment between each other that yes, we will achieve this goal, this is a good approach to get what you need. In tech projects, there is a huge ambiguity, and it's not always clear how you can achieve your goals. And this is a advantage and disadvantage. Advantage because you will find and you will be surprised sometimes people, they will reach their goal, they will reach the objective in a shorter way. And sometimes you will have an obstacle, technical obstacle that is really hard to pass or to move in front of the team, and usually this is like the hardest thing to do. It's not about, we are lucky like to work and tech at this time. It's a very cool industry, and everything that we are working on, most of the things that we are working on is interesting. You don't have like this routine in your work. So yeah, the obstacles, the problems will come from the clearness of the objective and from the commitment of the team.
Thank you very much, Issam. It was good to hear. So let's, I think we are about the time, so let's move to Patrycja. Yes, hopefully your computer will not crash.
Yeah, now everything is okay. I was looking to unmute button, but thank you for the little elf that is doing this for me. Okay, guys, thank you very much for hearing us. To summarize, we have few important topics when it comes to support distributed teams, which are even more important right now in crisis time. So first, you need to learn on the fly. To quickly inspect and adapt your practices, constantly ask yourself if what you are doing is the thing you should do. Maybe you should adapt something, maybe experiment, just learn on the fly. And you can't forget about any of those three areas. First, you cannot forget about the product, because finally, this is our goal and main job, to deliver value for the final user. You can't forget about the team, because we need to create a space for the people where value and skills of the whole team is more than sum of value and skills of each individuals. And you cannot forget about the culture, because to work efficiently on the product and the team, we need to create organizational environment which support this. Thank you. Oh, sorry.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you very much to the speakers, and thank you guys for staying with us for 1 hour. We'll have a Q&A session shortly. Patrycja, if you can give me a stage for just 1 second, I'll share my presentation. Just a few things before we start our Q&A session. You can, in the meantime, for the questions you want to hear the answers to. And just before we head to Q&A, if you don't feel like posting the question in public, or you come up with something after the webinar, you can always get in touch with us at hello@boldare.com. Also, just wanted to remind you that following the session, you'll be able to access all webinar materials at our Crash Course landing page. This and next week we'll be publishing on the landing page the additional materials Patrycja and Weronika were talking about today. So, for example, the agenda for the team retrospective or the agenda for the teams workshop. We'll be also sharing things like summary articles from all the webinar sessions. And we will send you also the access to this landing page via email. So watch out for this in your inbox. Also, if you're interested in getting expert advice from our in-house practitioners, we'd like to offer you an exclusive 50% discount on our consultation services. You will find more information in the materials we'll send out after the crash course and on the crash course landing page. So just to quickly remind you who were our speakers today, it was Piotr, Majchrzak, co-CEO at Boldare, Patrycja Vala, Agile Transformation Guide here at Boldare, Weronika Otrębska, Head of People at Boldare, and Issam Najm, CTO at Ionview at Matic. So let me quickly go to questions, just to remind you, the questions who have the most votes will get the priority in our session. Let me just quickly switch off the presentation. And okay, so the question with most votes, I believe that 7 votes, is from Maciej. And how to keep your team motivated when company struggles to have fluency with money caused by Corona? How transparent stakeholders should be? I believe maybe Piotr, as a co-CEO, would like to share your thoughts.
Yes, of course. There's no like easy answer. Because on the one hand, I think the more transparent you are as a company, the better. So at Boldare, we are pretty clear on how much money we have in the bank, what is our runway, so how much how much money, how long can we live with the money and the current backlog of products we're building. So we are pretty transparent on this aspect. But on the other hand, it's also you have to create a culture that can actually deal with this kind of information. So it's not like one day switching to full transparency, because this is what really touches if it comes to psychological safety, because you have to know other mechanisms, right? How do you deal with it? And seeing only, let's say, bad information, it's not a good thing. So I would say it's not only about transparency, but also what you're gonna do with the whole package of this information, and why is it for, right? Because only revealing kind of information, it's not enough. It's more like it should support some other goals. So if I, as a team member, know that, okay, we have money only for 2 or 3 months, I could really focus myself on what is really important, and I can really engage into executing the goals. So yeah, I hopefully I answer your question. Maybe Issam, you have
I would add one
something
more
else
thing
to
to this, because the question was about the motivation, and I remember the moment when you, Piotr, came to us, to the whole company with strategy, how to prepare ourselves for the crisis. So the strategy about also cutting costs, in example, the money for personal development, etc. And when everybody on the stage, like the whole company, was could raise objection to any point in this strategy, just say, guys, I think it's not safe. I think we should talk about it. And the moment when we could raise those objections and talk about them, it was the moment when I was very motivated, even if I knew that, for example, the package for personal development will be cut. So it was good to know that you are asking us about the opinion.
Thank you for bringing that. Yes, I think involvement in some ways, it's something that can feel you motivated, as Patrycja told, and is a living example of that.
Okay, thank you, guys. Next one, speaking in rounds can make participants stressed when their turn will be closer. They might stop listening to others and think only about his question input. Shouldn't the discussion be freer to participate? The facilitator can ask inactive persons randomly. I believe either Patrycja or Weronika might have some.
May I answer this question if you don't mind, guys?
Sure,
because,
sure, of course.
Yeah, I used to be in these meetings, and I used to have these meetings, and actually Boldare put this this idea with us in doing the meetings. Alexander, he started this this practice with us. No, it will not. It's just like 2 words or 3 words that you will say, and it will be in a round. So it will not be very stress on you. And I think it will not take more than 1 minute, 2 minutes from the meeting, at the start, at the end, or whenever you raise this. You will be surprised with some of the answers. Sometimes you'll be upset with the answers, but at least you will understand why they are doing this. But most of the time that you will be happy with the answers. You would understand that, yes, we have the same objective. We are all working toward this, especially when you miss the sprint goal and you ask about what do you feel, and all of them, they will say that I want to find a way to make it work next time. So, no, I think it's a great practice. I'm sorry, I muted you instead of me.
Oh, no worries. Thank you, Issam, for sharing it. It's a great point of view that shows that it is not only about our, I don't know, personality and our fears, but also about our motivation. If we want to really build the good things, and if we really want to contribute, we will be more motivated to speak up, and even if it causes some difficulties, because I don't know, I am anxious about speaking up in group or something like that. I believe that people can learn it, and it is a very important facilitator role to understand if, for example, we have an individuals in the room or in the meeting who are paralyzed with answering the questions, because that might be a case. Very, I think it's not usual, but it might be a case, and I think it also answers Tom's question. It is very important to learn by facilitator who is that people and work with them individually if they want to, for example, give an input, but they are afraid to do it. And other thing is that I believe people are getting used to it. So if you implement this technique and you see that it is not working well, it is a thing to work with the team, so that the team understand why it's important, and to simply get used to it, and that will also help the team members who are afraid to speak up.
And I noticed also one more thing, when there is more complicated question and you are asking people to answer in rounds. For example, giving a second or two to think and write down the main points you would like to answer in your reaction is one option. And second option, people just taking cards, pens, and they are writing down what they would like to say. During hearing the presentation, the questions, what is before the reaction round, for example. So we are able to adapt ourselves to this.
Thank you so much, guys. I'll move on to the next question. Maybe from Claudia, how do you monitor a team's performance in agile teams?
It's always a tricky question because performance can have many definitions. And personally, I don't like to talk about, okay, if the performance of this team is better than in the other team. I would like to redirect this question a little bit to what I do with my teams. And we are checking our progress in the way to the goal. So for example, we have the whole release planned for the next 3 months. We have estimations for what should be done during these 3 months. And we are able to cut this into smaller sprints, and we know how much we should deliver each sprint. So we are able to check if what we planned for the sprint and what we delivered is the same what we committed. So this is called predictability. We are also able to check the whole release burn down chart to check if we are going with the line like this, not like this. And we can do this on the sprint level, so every 2 weeks during those 2 weeks, or we can do this after every sprint to check the whole release progress. So those are my ways to check the team performance. If we are on track, not if we are a good team, but if we are on track and we are delivering what we should deliver. And Issam, maybe you have something from your experiences.
So it's pretty much the same, by the way, what we are doing, result-oriented. Check what is the objective and if the team is going there. It's not about something else. For sure, I have a couple of other metrics because this is from product side, but also I have from a technical side about the tech debt, about the quality of the code, and other things related to this. So even this, we have objectives, and we are putting it in the or we are putting it in a way that we need, for example, to increase the code coverage from 60% to 70% or during the next 6 months, and we will do like checkpoints to check that we are on this objective. Yeah, usually this is what I will do. At the end of the sprint, we have the version, we will see which sprint we are, and the chart where we are going, the pessimistic and optimistic date that will finish the release. And this is how we measure our, as you said, our progress, not like more performance.
Sure. Guys, if it's okay, I know we're running slightly out of time, but if it's okay to take maybe one or two more questions. You've partly answered the question from Tom, Weronika. What are the most important skills for you when you choose or when you are looking for a facilitator?
Mm-hmm.
Would you like to add something to the question?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yes, for sure. In my opinion, there are two most important things. First, of course, we can say, yeah, it needs to be, he or she needs to have a very good soft skills and communication skills, of course. But actually, for me, the most important are two things. Empathy, so feeling the group, feeling the atmosphere, understanding what are each other's thinking, where are the tensions. So that is the one thing. The other thing that is most important for me is linking dots. So when you build the way of working for a team, you need to understand what works, what doesn't work, and which parts influences other parts. So the ability to understand the process and how some parts influences the system is a very important skill for facilitator. Patrycja, you want to add something?
I would add one more thing, and for me, the empathy is the basic for me. I call it smell the room, but I would say also ability to nicely say it's not your turn to talk. You will have opportunity to talk about this topic later, but guys, we are going outside of our topic. Maybe we should focus. So this ability to be nice in this, but also be, sorry, I lost the word, be strong and not push, or not just let them go, but to facilitate them from point A to point B. So this is one thing I would add.
Cool. Thank you so much. Maybe last final question we have time for. We have a question regarding feedback from Pavel and directed at Weronika, but maybe someone else would like to contribute. Should there be feedback after feedback so team members would know if their concerns weren't just thrown away?
I'm not sure if I understand it well, but if you mean, Pavel, that if there should be, after what we provide feedback on some skill, if it is developing or not. So our answer for this is providing the feedback workshops for each team every 3 months. To have the cycle of, okay, this is the feedback for your work and somehow expectations for you to develop in this and that skills. Then it is, of course, teams work with Scrum Master to facilitate learning in that skills. And then after 3 months or some period of time to run feedback workshops again and check if it's changing or not. So I'm not sure if I understand the question well. So Pavel, let me know if that answer is helping you with this question.
and we'll try to get back to you as soon as possible with some meaningful answers. Thank you so much for being with us, and thank you for learning how to manage distributed software development teams. And thank you to the speakers for sharing their knowledge. The materials will be available at the landing page. You'll get the access also via email, so watch out for your inbox. Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you
very much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.